Welcome to Goldfish on Games, and I hope you're all dressed smartly because you're all invited to see the latest blockbuster film by Core Studios. And seeing that you're a nice bunch, why don't you come along with me as we go and check up on our editor, Clutch Gable, who's been hard at work for the last 2 or 3 nights, straight out trying to get this film ready. And he should be finished about now, because it's not long left before this film goes live. And there he is, hard at work. You can't keep a good editor down, you really can't. And it seems that this is not a good editor, because he's fallen asleep at his job. Oh well, I can give him some slack seeing he has been up for a couple of days straight. And what's the worst that could happen, really? He should get up in the morning, finish the work, and then we can get on with it. Oh! Well, I hope for his sake he's got some backups. Or another copy that he can be getting on with. Because it'd be stupid for that to be the only set of reels that we have our final film on. Hello? Can you believe it? Grumble Studios have snuck in and stolen the picture. This is because they've had nothing but flops recently and really could do with a surefire hit. But they've got no one but themselves to blame because they drive every single cliche and stereotype into the ground in their terrible genre picks. So it's up to our hero, the editor, Clutch Gable, to go get them back. Because if he doesn't, we're not going to have anything for the premiere. Initially released for the Amiga 500, it was later republished under Core's budget label Corkers for the CD32. And in a move that will shock absolutely no one, nothing was added to this port. In fact, I don't think they even updated the controls, so it still has to use up to jump. My copy is missing the book and the poster that came in the box, but it does still have the floppy disks. But we can get an idea of the manual from the CD32 edition. The game was made by the 8th Day and published by Core in 1992. The game themes just about everything around the cinematic genre that you're currently playing in. These genres include westerns, black and white, monster movies, sci-fi and many more. The enemies, obstacles, puzzles and even the weapons all get themed around the current level. The westerns have sheriffs, killer cactus trees and tumbleweeds to contend with. The levels even play with their theming halfway through, such as the black and white level, that starts off in Egypt and moves on to police dramas. So you start off fighting mummies and cats and sphinx statues, and by the end you're battling bobbies, gangsters and prisoners. As with most platforms of the time, the goal is simple, get to the end of the level. But it's not quite as straightforward affair as most. Each level is actually quite reasonably open, and you'll end up having to explore it, as there are switches and puzzles that will need to be solved for you to be able to progress further. Thankfully, there isn't too much in the way of backtracking, but you will end up returning to the same area a couple of times. Going in and out of doors are a big part of this game, and instead of teleporting you around the level, or even taking you to another dimension, you'll actually end up going behind the scenes, which allows you to run around behind the sets. And these are pretty much the only constants between each of the levels. But it really seems that Grumble Studios only hires method actors, as even behind the scenes all the characters are still out to get you. And while you're back there, you might stumble across a few nods to some of the games that both the developers and the publishers had put out previously. Clutch is a very agile guy, with a decent range of movement at his disposal, and is very responsive. Even with just having a single button joystick to work with and having up to jump, he really does move around where you want him to. As already mentioned, his weapons are themed, but he doesn't start off with any. You'll need to actually find the ammo around the level. But once you do, you can throw around bundles of dynamite which will roll around, or use a gun, or even throw fireballs. And even if you run out of ammo, you're not entirely helpless. You can either throw a well-armed punch, or if you're on a set of stairs you can roll down them like a certain blue hedgehog, and it's actually very effective. but the problem is you'll keep rolling until you hit a wall, or, as more likely happens, a set of spikes. The fire button also hides Clutch's party piece. Hold down and press the button, and with a jaunty jig, he will jump between the fore and background. And this can be done pretty much anywhere that looks like it's got a fore and background, and can be used to avoid rushing cops, various gunfire, as well as flying seagulls. And you will need this to explore the level as well as get around various obstacles. And one decent side effect is it actually makes going up and down stairs much easier, as you don't have to hold in a weird direction. It's a cool idea that really adds some depth to his skill set, and gives you some extra options for trying to get around the world. And because it's on a trigger, it also means you can duck, so you can avoid various projectiles and traps. Most of the puzzles rarely rise above having to pull a lever or blowing up the right object to be able to progress, which means it can get a little repetitive on the later levels. Though I do prefer this way of trying to make a game longer than the collectathons that were very much common on the Amiga. This does mean each of the levels are quite long, but there is only a limited number of them. But it turns out completing the level isn't the end. You're still going to have to face a boss, which, you might have guessed, is also themed, and each one is pretty much unique, and, to be honest, quite tough. This is due to the combination of you having absolutely no idea what to expect from the boss until you first go up against him, as well as the fact that if you mess up, you lose a life, and unless you have an absolute stack of them, you're gonna get a game over very quickly. In the western level, you have to do a quick draw. If you press the button too early or too late, you'll get shot. And you have to do this 3 times in a row. It turns out the trick to this level is to watch the hand of the gunman, and count the number of times he moves his fingers before he shoots. In the black and white level, you're on a train trolley and having to outrun a train. You do this by both throwing dynamite at it, while also having to duck and jump above various obstacles and signposts. And these are just the first 2. They continue to get more and more elaborate and complicated as the game goes on. Thankfully, the lovely looking graphics and very, very catchy music will keep you coming back to this time and time again. Even after all these years and having to replay the first level more times than I can count, I can still listen to that tune and will still hum it to myself in my head. As this game was an Amiga exclusive, and the fact that Core published it, the chances of finding it showing up on any modern compilations or online stores are slim to none. Core these days are pretty much gone, after being bought out by Square Enix many years ago, who haven't really shown any interest in Core's back catalogue apart from Tomb Raider. So if you are interested in giving this game a go, because it is quite a nice little game, your best legal bet is finding a second-hand copy. And with the premiere saved, it's time to go take our seats, because I'm sure this is going to be the best film ever made. And until next time, I've been the Goldfish. That was an editor that went above and beyond the Call of Duty, and this was Goldfish on Games. Goodbye.